Republican presidential candidate John Kasich campaigned today in Chicago. Tomorrow, he heads back to Iowa. Of course, John now serves as governor of Ohio, but a couple of decades ago, John Kasich and I were colleagues in the Congress. And last week, when we got together at Newsmax, New York, I asked him about making the transition from legislator to governor.
Well, first of all, for the people that watch and want to know about you, I know this isn't a commercial about you, but you were a heck of a legislator and you were pretty fearless, and that was what marked those people in the middle of the 90s. It wasn't about an election, it was about a fearlessness to get something done, and we did. You know, the welfare reform, the balanced budget. For me, the difference between being a legislator and being a governor is not that much of a difference, no more than the difference between day and night. You know, as a governor, you're held accountable for what you do. As a legislator, I mean, I think when we were there, we held ourselves accountable. By and large, though, if things don't get done, you blame somebody else, you yell about the president. But as a governor, there's nobody else you can yell about. And I'd say the other change, JD, is, you know, when I first became governor, I still liked a few wisecracks and all that kind of stuff, but you learn over time, it's just not worth it. Because a bad wisecrack means you got 2 days to have to fix it, and you know, you don't have the time to do that. So my mother said, not my mother, but my wife said one time when we were together, she said, you know, John, you're a dad, act like it. And so there's this period of growing up and maturing in those jobs.
And you mentioned wisecracks. This campaign thus far has been marked by people who are somewhat irreverent, somewhat plain-spoken, somewhat shocking in what they have to say. Thus far, you have stayed true to avoiding the wisecracks and staying on the business.
Yeah, it's sort of funny. People, when I started to run, they started to say, well, you know, he'll lose his temper or he's not disciplined or whatever. It's kind of funny because they didn't know me. They don't understand me. For me, it's about laying out a realistic agenda. It's not about trying to make a headline or get a cheer. I think if you're going to run for president, you have to be sober and you need to know what you're going to do. I would like to think, JD, that what I could do as president is a lot of what we started in the 90s, but we were never able to finish, and that's shifting a lot of power, money, and influence out of that town and investing it in the states and in the communities around this country. And so I'm not really interested in putting 2 scoops of ice cream in my mouth or tearing my shirt off or any of that. I'm interested in just being a positive unifier that can solve problems. And, you know, I've always been a reformer. So people say, well, you know, they all like all the outsiders. I mean, you've known me a long time. I'm both an inside and an outside guy. I'm a conservative reformer. That's what I've always been.
No Republican has won the White House
without winning Ohio.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I like to remind people of that.
We can remind them. And the other thing we can remind folks, we take a look at your bio, born in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania,
yeah,
2 electoral swing states.
Yeah.
So when you're making your elevator
connected
pitch,
to Michigan, right? It's our border, you know? I tell people in Michigan, just, you know, forgive me, but we can get along for this election, even though I'm a Buckeye.
Well, I am curious about it. Let's say you're offering the political version of the elevator pitch. Now, we have them in terms of 60-second ads, and you've gone over this a little bit earlier, but tell us what should make John Kasich the next president. Qualification, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Give me 30 seconds on it.
Well, I have the experience both in Washington and balancing the budget and being somebody that served on the Defense Committee and then 10 years out and then turning Ohio around and representing Ohio and being somebody who's not only won elections but had brought people together at the same time. That's what America needs, a uniter and not a divider.
Make the conservative case for John Kasich, because a lot of folks are saying, no, he's more of a moderate now, he's an establishment guy.
Well, look, when you balance budgets, which no one has done, when you cut taxes, I've got the most amount of tax cuts of any sitting governor today. We killed the death tax, and we are lowering income taxes. When you are reforming welfare, you remember I was involved in that, when you support a strong defense but yet reform. I don't know, when you have school choice, we have it everywhere. We've been able to be in a position of actually putting a CEO in one of our schools to run that school, the Cleveland Public Schools, and we're trying to do the same thing in Youngstown. It's coming soon. More school choice. What's not conservative? Is it not conservative that I am very concerned about poor people? I don't think so. Is it not conservative because I don't want to use red-hot rhetoric? I don't think so. JD, that's not what I want to do. And if that's the kind of leader we're looking for, that ain't me. I'm somebody that wants to fight on principle, but yet bring people together. And one thing that's consistent from when I served in Congress, as you know, I had very good relations on the other side of the aisle. That's very important when you start to govern the United States of America.
And this reminder, you can see more of my exclusive interview with Ohio Governor and 2016 Republican presidential candidate John Kasich all week long right here on Newsmax Prime. So, we just heard from Governor Kasich. Now, Newsmax wants to know who your choice is for the GOP nomination in 2016, and you can let us know by going to newsmaxpolls.com.